This is the story of a city that once ranked in the top 10 in America for per capita income and has since plummeted to the bottom 10. The Glass City, Toledo, Ohio, has been losing residents for 55 consecutive years, shedding a third of its population since 1970. It has not experienced a single year of growth since the turn of the millennium. Not one. This is the Rust Belt decline story, but Toledo's collapse cuts deeper than most. To understand how Toledo got here, you have to understand what made it great in the first place. The city was founded in 1833 on the west bank of the Maumee River, and its early years were so contentious that two states literally went to war over it. The Toledo War of 1835 was an almost bloodless conflict between Ohio and the Michigan Territory, fought over a narrow strip of land. The only casualty was a Michigan deputy sheriff who was stabbed in the leg during an arrest. The only other losses were 2 horses, 2 pigs, and a few chickens stolen by members of the Michigan militia who had lost their way. Ohio won the strip, Michigan got the Upper Peninsula as a consolation prize, and Michigan probably got the better deal in the long run. But Toledo had one thing going for it that nobody could have predicted. In 1887, a man named Edward Drummond Libbey visited the city and saw something he liked. There were abundant natural resources for making glass, sand, natural gas, and limestone. The following year, he moved the New England Glass Company to Toledo. The city gave him 4 acres of land and 50 lots to build housing for his workers. That single decision transformed Toledo into the glass capital of the world. By the early 20th century, Toledo housed 4 major glass companies: Owens, Illinois, Owens Corning, Libbey Owens Ford, and Libbey Glass. Together they produced everything from glass bottles to fiberglass insulation, automobile windshields to the structural glass that made skyscrapers possible. In 1937, Owens, Illinois built the first skyscraper in the world, completely covered in glass, right in downtown Toledo. Michael J. Owens was born to poor Irish immigrants in West Virginia. He went to work in a glass factory at the age of 10 after a short stint in a coal mine. He then invented the automatic bottle-blowing machine. In 1913, the National Child Labor Committee declared that the Owens machine had done more to eliminate child labor than any legislative effort in history. As author Barbara Floyd put it, Toledo glass has changed the world, and most significantly, the industry made the city what it is today. And that right there is the problem. When your entire identity is built on one industry, what happens when that industry leaves? The first cracks appeared in the post-war era. Ohio's manufacturers started seeking cheaper labor in response to unionized workers demanding better pay. Toledo's Electric Auto Light and General Motors strikes in the mid-1930s had propelled United Auto Workers Local 12 to fame as one of the most powerful unions in the nation. That power came at a cost, and companies began looking elsewhere. By the 1990s, globalization and trade policies like NAFTA accelerated the exodus of manufacturing jobs to cheaper overseas markets. Toledo's official peak population of 383,818 in 1970 was itself a kind of illusion. The city had aggressively annexed surrounding suburbs throughout the 1960s to inflate its numbers. When you factor out those annexations, Toledo's actual population had already declined to around 298,514, a 6% loss. The city was shrinking even when it appeared to be growing. Then the real bleeding started. Unlike Detroit, which diversified into multiple industries before its collapse, Toledo remained dangerously dependent on glass and auto manufacturing. Of the 7 Fortune 500 manufacturing companies that called Toledo home in the early 1980s, just one, Owens Corning, remains today. In 1986, Libbey Owens Ford was sold to British company Pilkington. In 2000, Owens Corning itself declared bankruptcy due to asbestos litigation. And in a devastating 4-month stretch between December 2000 and April 2001, Toledo's unemployment rate tripled from 3.6% to 12.1%. The Jeep plant tells the story in miniature. In 1950, Jeep employed 17,000 workers in Toledo. Today, The Toledo Assembly Complex employs just over 6,000, and even those jobs are not safe. In November 2024, Stellantis announced 1,100 layoffs at the Toledo South Assembly Plant. UAW Local. 12 President Bruce Baumhauer explained that the prior leadership had put us in a ditch, and we had no sales on our cars. They continued to raise prices to make more profits, and we could not give our cars away. But it wasn't just manufacturing. Toledo suffered from the same forces that hollowed out cities across the Midwest. White flight drew middle-class families to the suburbs, while urban renewal programs razed black neighborhoods for infrastructure projects. The Dorr Street corridor, the economic, social, and cultural hub for black Toledoans, was demolished for a street expansion. The construction of Interstate 75 displaced entire communities and left behind struggling neighborhoods with minimal resources. Today, the numbers paint a stark picture. The median household income sits between $37,000 and $49,000, depending on the measure. The poverty rate hovers around 25%. Roughly 40% of Toledo's children live in poverty, nearly double the national average. A third of the city's housing was built before 1940, and less than 5% has been built since 2000. The city has essentially stopped building. And then, there's the water. On August 2, 2014, over 500,000 Toledo residents were ordered not to drink or even touch their tap water. 2 years before Flint made headlines, Toledo faced its own water crisis. Toxins from harmful algal blooms in Lake Erie had contaminated the water supply. The crisis lasted nearly 3 days and exposed a problem that still has not been solved. Agricultural runoff, primarily from confined animal feeding operations, continues to feed massive algal blooms in the lake. Toledo has sued the EPA over its failure to compel the state to address the issue, and a decade later, toxic blooms remain a persistent threat. Layer on top of that an opioid crisis that hits Toledo disproportionately hard. Despite comprising only 2.3% of Ohio's total population, Toledo accounts for nearly 5% of the state's drug overdose deaths. Since 2020, Lucas County has recorded at least 200 overdose fatalities per year, with fentanyl as a factor in 80% of those deaths. Carnegie Mellon historian Bradley Summer, who studies deindustrialization in Toledo, summed it up this way. They feel bigger when they happen in Toledo because there is less for Toledo to fall back on. So, is there any hope? There are signs, if you squint. Homicide rates have fallen for 3 consecutive years, dropping 30% in 2023 and another 18% in 2024. The city demolished 300 blighted homes in 2024 and removed 1.2 million pounds of waste from neighborhoods. Stellantis reversed its layoff plans after its chief executive resigned, then announced a nearly $400 million investment to bring a new mid-sized truck production line to Toledo, adding 900 jobs. The Toledo Museum of Art's Glass Pavilion stands as a testament to the city's enduring connection to its glass heritage, drawing visitors from across the Great Lakes region. Barron's named Toledo the hottest place to live in America in 2024, and Site Selection magazine has ranked it among the top 10 cities for new business investment 9 out of the last 11 years. Mayor Wade Kupsukiewicz acknowledged the fundamental challenge in his 2025 State of the City address. Growing Toledo's population is the key to everything. But as real estate agent Tyler Tresise pointed out, people are going to move where they can work. For a lot of the people that graduate from the University of Toledo, what does that job pull look like? That's the question Toledo has been unable to answer for more than half a century. The Glass City built the modern world. Its inventions eliminated child labor, made skyscrapers possible, and put windshields in every car on the road. But the world it built moved on without it, and Toledo has been trying to catch up ever since. 23 consecutive years of population decline, not a single year of growth in the 21st century, 96% of similarly sized cities growing faster. Toledo isn't just declining, it's being left behind. And until the city finds something to replace what glass once was, that trajectory isn't changing.